The moment this case is called, no one expects the courtroom to unravel the way it's about to. What begins as a routine garnishment challenge becomes one of the most emotional, chaotic, and heartbreaking breakdowns a courtroom has ever seen. A young man, overwhelmed by life, crushed by debt, and desperate for relief, reaches a breaking point so severe the judge, deputies, and every person watching are left stunned. The courtroom, which minutes earlier felt like an ordinary judicial setting, transforms into a pressure cooker where fear, frustration, and desperation collide with devastating impact. The judge calls the case, her tone routine, her posture calm. But Nicholas Erke's voice gives away everything before he even begins. Fragile, strained, thin as paper stretched too tight. His shoulders are slumped, his eyes tired, and every movement he makes radiates the exhaustion of someone who has been fighting a losing battle for far too long. He isn't here to argue guilt or innocence. He isn't fighting over property or a lease. Today, he is fighting for survival. He is a young man who has reached the end of the road, and the judge can sense it the moment he opens his mouth. The judge asks him the first and simplest question. Are you challenging the garnishment? Yes, ma'am. He answers quietly, almost apologetically, as if even speaking burdens him. But everything that pours out next is raw, unfiltered suffering. His words spill like someone who has been holding the dam shut with his bare hands and can no longer contain the flood. Nicholas explains that he is drowning, not metaphorically, genuinely, financially, mentally, emotionally drowning. His car payment alone consumes nearly everything he makes. He speaks of a monthly payment that swallows his income whole, leaving nothing for food, nothing for shelter, nothing for basic survival. Behind his trembling voice is the unmistakable sound of someone who has been silently unraveling for months. He says he has tried everything, that he has reached out to charities, shelters, assistance programs, that he has begged for help in every place he could find it. Yet still, he has nothing left. Every sentence cracks a little more, revealing a man whose life is collapsing under the weight of obligations he cannot outrun. He finally admits something that stuns the courtroom. He is homeless. The word hangs in the air for a moment, heavier than anything said so far. He fled a boarding house to save himself, and now he comes before the court not simply as a debtor, but as a man on the brink of total collapse. His plea is not legal, it is human. His voice trembles, filled with exhaustion and fear. It is the voice of someone who has slept in uncertainty, who has walked through days without a destination, who has reached the point where survival itself feels uncertain. The courtroom is silent. Even those waiting for their cases shift uncomfortably, absorbing the intensity of his vulnerability. The judge listens, not dismissive, not cruel, but steady. She explains gently that hardship, no matter how real, does not automatically erase a legal debt. Her tone softens, but her responsibility remains fixed within the boundaries of the law. Still, Nicholas insists he can't survive. He says it again and again in different ways. He cannot survive. He can barely afford food. His job hours are unpredictable. His wages are thin. And now his wages are being garnished. The phrase, "a place to call home," carries a heaviness that makes some spectators look down. It's the kind of phrase that comes not from anger, but from exhaustion, from a bone-deep yearning for stability, for dignity, for rest. Nicholas doesn't ask the court to make him whole. He just wants breathing room, a chance to stand back up, any small measure of grace. The judge turns to the plaintiff, asking whether she would consider negotiating a payment arrangement. Each word seems to drain Nicholas further. He stands there absorbing every sentence, each one landing like a blow to someone already on their knees. His breathing grows faster. His gaze flicks around the courtroom, not in anger, but in the frantic desperation of someone searching for an escape that simply doesn't exist. The judge clarifies the legal history. The previous judge ruled. The appellate court upheld it. The debt is final. Today's hearing is only about whether the garnishment is lawful. Nothing more, nothing less. Nicholas tries to argue the appeal again, but the judge cuts him off. Her tone remains calm but firm. There is nothing left to argue. It is done. Final. Legally unmovable. He hears the words, but they don't soften the blow. Instead, they push him closer to the emotional edge he has been teetering on since he entered the courtroom. He tries to negotiate again, offering only $100 a month. It is all he can afford. It is all he has left. But the judge tells him that won't satisfy the ruling. And then she says the words that completely shatter him. Your motion is denied. There is a moment, less than a full second, where Nicholas goes completely still. A silence inside him breaks loose, heavier than a scream. Then the emotional collapse is instant. Suddenly, everything breaks. Nicholas explodes into panic, not controlled anger, but raw, unfiltered terror. A surge of fear and despair that his body can no longer contain. Deputies rush him, trying to keep him from hurting himself, but Nicholas is no longer fully aware of where he is. He screams, cursing, crying, begging them not to touch him. He twists away violently, collapsing onto the courtroom floor with a crash that echoes through the room. The judge recoils, startled, unable to mask her shock. The deputies fight to restrain him as he thrashes, sobbing uncontrollably. His voice fills the courtroom with a kind of agony rarely witnessed in legal proceedings. His panic spirals into a storm of terror and apologies, fear and desperation. People in the courtroom avert their eyes, some out of shock, some out of sorrow, all unsure whether they're seeing a mental health crisis, a trauma response, or the complete unraveling of a man crushed beneath a life that never gave him space to breathe. Relax. Stop resisting. Just breathe. But Nicholas is no longer reachable. His fear is consuming him from the inside, tearing through him in violent waves. He shakes, screams, apologizes, and screams again, caught in a cycle of panic that no one can interrupt. Eventually, the deputies manage to roll him over and secure him. The room is silent except for Nicholas sobbing. The judge is visibly shaken, her voice unsteady when she finally speaks again. For several minutes, the courtroom feels less like a place of law and more like a trauma scene. The judge wipes her eyes. A deputy retrieves tissues. People shift in their seats, still processing what they've just witnessed, a human being unraveling completely in front of them. Nicholas is eventually escorted out to be taken to holding. The courtroom, still reeling, tries to resume its rhythm. But the atmosphere is broken, surreal. The next person who appears on Zoom is smoking a cigarette during the hearing. The judge, emotionally drained and pushed far past normal limits, snaps again. She cannot believe the disrespect, the chaos, the emotional unraveling happening back to back. And with that, the judge regains control, ready for the next case. Though everyone watching knows nothing that follows will eclipse what they have just seen. Because what happened today was more than a legal hearing. It was the collapse of a young man crushed under the weight of debt, homelessness, instability, fear, and shame. All unleashed in front of a courtroom that sat frozen as his emotions erupted into panic.